Let's now talk about the startup process of the Schwarze A9 Monsoon, as well as the A7 and the A8, being that the control systems are very similar. First of all, what you have to do, being a CAN bus system, is you're going to have to come in and create power for the console via the chassis. So you have to start the chassis in order to get power. So you start the chassis, turn it on, make sure that your gauges go back and forth, that the chassis computer system properly boots. At that point, you start the chassis, get it started, and then come back here to the auxiliary engine control panel. Now this auxiliary engine control panel, it rotates to either driving station. We're going to leave it centered so you can get a better idea while we're doing our video. You come in, and you come into the auxiliary engine key, and you start the auxiliary. Start it up, let it come up to an idle, and at that point you'll notice on the LCD screen we have a complete readout of the RPM, of our engine temperature, our oil pressure, our DEF tank level, which is our diesel exhaust fluid level for the auxiliary engine itself. We have our hydraulic temperature, our water level for our dust control in a percentage, as well as a load weight indicator to tell us how much material we have in the hopper based on volume. We have the RPM control, whether turtle slow, rapid fast. Each time you hit that RPM, either up or down, it will go either up or down in 100 RPM increments. Here we have the SIR button, which allows you to sweep in both forward or reverse. So if you want to sweep in reverse with the head down and RPMs up and not go into a standby when you go in reverse, you press this button. When it lights up solid, you have your sweep in reverse activated. You can go back into the maintenance screen here, and you have the various hour meters. You have your auxiliary engine hour meter, left gutter broom hour meter, right gutter broom hour meter, sweeping head hour meter, and then an hour meter for each water pump. Now each one of the hour meters for the water pumps, the head, and the gutter brooms are resettable to allow you to track that hour's usage of not only maybe on a shift, but as well as, say, if you want to know how many hours you're getting out of a broom. When you change that broom or change the head flaps, you can track that and turn that into management. Okay. There's also down here, we've got input controls. If you want to check your input, which would be power from the console to the controller, you can go down to outputs here, checking power from the controller to the particular function to tell if you're getting power to those functions. Then you come down here to your CAN switch banks. You want to know if a switch is good? You come down here. If you hit the switch and it changes color on the LCD screen, you know that switch is good. If it does not change color, that switch is bad. So it helps you from a troubleshooting standpoint. Then coming down, you've got timer set points, as for broom raise and lower, calibration, and then engine trouble codes for your auxiliary engine to tell you if you're having any issues with your John Deere engine. At that point, you've checked all that out, you come back, now you're ready to go to a sweep. Well, the first thing you do is you come to this console and you notice this red light is blinking, but you looked up top here and it says press standby to enable sweeper functions. What that's telling you that this console is locked. Nothing will work until you press this button. You press that button, what it does is it power. Now the sweeping system is powered, okay, where you can utilize the console. The first thing you do is you come in here and you drop your sweeping head down. Then you come down and you drop down your gutter broom. You might just drop down the right broom. You may drop down both brooms depending on what application that you're in. You can adjust your tilt to allow your gutter broom to tilt for the curb and gutter. You can also adjust your geo, gutter broom extension override, which is going to adjust that lateral positioning of the gutter broom arm itself. Come in here, turn on your safety lighting, which will be your rear strobe here, your rear alternate flashers. Come here to your arrow board, which you have pass both side controls here, caution control on that side, pass right or pass left. In this instance, we're going to go ahead and turn caution on, so we've got a caution going for both sides. So we've got our safety lighting on, we've got our gutter brooms on, our sweeping head down. Now we're going to come to water. On the water system controls, we've got our high pressure washdown, which is for the optional high pressure washdown system with 50-foot hose. Then we've got our hopper water, our left gutter broom water, right gutter broom water, sweeping head water, front bumper spray bar, hopper spray bar, and then the intake water. That intake water are the two large nozzles that are in the intake that I talked about earlier for flushing out that system. Now, you'll notice each one of these switches as well They've all got international symbols, but they're also labeled to tell you what the switches are. So it should be very clear for you to figure out. At first, you're going to be kind of jumping around, but after a couple of days of operation, it'll become second nature of where you reach over to hit those switches. When you go to operate, first thing you want to do is you want to turn on the hopper water. Okay, the hopper water should be running at all times when you're operating this sweeper. Okay, as I said on a couple of occasions while walking around the sweeper, that hopper water is not only fugitive dust control, it's also lubricating key parts within the sweeper. Having the hopper water on as the air is moving through is going to come back into the fan, coat that fan, coat the fan housing, coat the blast transition, the blast orifice, as well as the intake coming in order to reduce that abrasion damage and extend the life of the key components. After that, you'll turn on whatever gutter broom water you're using. If you start producing more dust, go to the sweeping head, and then at that point you can go to your hopper water, intake, front spray bar, whatever it takes in order to control that water level. To get that all set, come up to your RPMs. You'll set this RPMs to where your operating RPMs are going to be really anywhere from about 1,600 RPMs up to 2,500 RPMs. On average, most of your operation will be between 1,800 and 2,000 RPMs, which is plenty of power in pretty much any application that you're going to encounter. Now, once you have been operating the sweeper, you've been operating all day, you're going down and you may come to the end of an area you've been sweeping. You may get a call from the boss on the radio says, I need you to come over to another area. If that happens, all you have to do is come over and hit this one button. You press standby. At that point, you press standby, that engine, auxiliary engine, will derate to an idle, the sweeping head will come up, the gutter brooms will come up, your water system will turn off, but your safety lighting will stay on. You travel over to the next area you're going to sweep, and then you press the button that says sweep. You hit that button, the head goes back down, the RPMs of the engine go up, your gutter brooms go back down, and your water turns back on, and you're immediately operating. So you may look at this console and see a lot of switches here. Don't worry, it's for initial setup. At that point, you're operating from one switch moving forward. So it's very simple, a really high ease of operation on this sweeper. At that point, that's it.